Justin Jefferson became a star at LSU and went in the first round of the 2020 NFL Draft. But what you probably don't know is that he was rated a 0-star recruit coming out of high school. So how did JJ go from an unranked recruit to one of the most promising receivers in the NFL? In today's video, we'll take a look back at Jefferson's rise as a player and how he got to this point. If you are new to my channel, I make videos about everything football and basketball related, so if you're watching this, then I know you are a football fan, so why not take a moment and subscribe and help me reach 3K subs by the end of July. If you have a cool video topic I should do next, let me know in the comment section down below. And now let's get started with the rise of Justin Jefferson. Justin was born and raised in the Bayou of Louisiana and grew up in a family that was known for their football talent. He had two brothers who were both football stars in high school and both went on to play for LSU. His oldest brother Jordan was a quarterback for the Tigers earlier on in the decade and was part of the team that went to the national championship. His other brother Ricky also played for the Tigers. Despite having the tremendous football success in the family, Justin wasn't exactly a big name on the recruiting trail. While in high school, he didn't get to start until his junior year, and he never put up big-time stats to that point. Justin just wasn't ready physically or mentally for the game yet, and that showed at the Nike camp in New Orleans. He ran a 4.88 40-yard dash time, and that really hurt his stock, as that number is not very good, and that went all over his recruiting pages. His father says it was because Justin was having knee issues, but apparently it didn't affect Justin that much, as he was determined to make his time better. Another problem Justin had run into was his grades. He had bombed an English class his freshman year, and just wasn't very motivated in the classroom. Combining the fact that he wasn't very impressive on the field with his bad grades, schools were kinda weary to offer him a scholarship, but he kept grinding. Eventually, he put up better numbers on the field and looked ready to play college football, so he was offered a scholarship by LSU. Unfortunately, while most of the kids were signing their letters of intent, Justin would have to wait as he didn't qualify academically. That English class that he bombed his freshman year would come back to bite him, and if he passed the class during summer school, Ed Orgeron told him he would still have a scholarship. He did pass the class and reserved a spot on the team, but he was never expected to actually do anything when he got to Baton Rouge. So how did Justin Jefferson slip all the way to the 308th best wide receiver and the 2,164th overall recruit in the nation? It's a mystery because he played for a powerhouse high school, his positional teammate Michael Young went on to play for Notre Dame, and he had nearly 1,000 yards receiving. Well, the theory is that he was both undersized and that everyone just assumed he was going to go to LSU. Nevertheless, Justin Jefferson was a 0-star recruit in high school, but he was ready to go out there and play for LSU. Before he ever put on a Tiger uniform, one of the scouts for the team said that, quote, Jefferson was going to play in the NFL one day. Everyone in the room was apparently shocked by what he said. Going into the 2017 season, Ed Orgeron was going into his first full year as the head coach, and they were expected to be pretty good. Danny Etling was the quarterback, Darius Geis was the running back, and DJ Chark was the team's best receiver. Justin was not going to play much his freshman year, but he did see the field. Instead of redshirting, he rushed the ball one time for 4 yards his freshman year, and in retrospect, he really should have taken the year off. As for LSU, they climbed up all the way to number 12 in the polls after wins over BYU and Chattanooga, but they dropped their first game of the year to Mississippi State. They beat Syracuse the following week, then they lost to Troy at home in one of the biggest and most memorable upsets of the decade. This was embarrassing for the LSU faithful, so as a response, the team knocked off number 21 Florida, number 10 Auburn, and Ole Miss on the road in their next 3 games and rightened the ship. After a loss to number 1 Alabama, they won their last 3 games against Arkansas, Tennessee, and Texas A&M to finish the regular season at 9-3. They ended up losing to Notre Dame in the Citrus Bowl, and they finished the season with an L. The first season under Coach O was a success, and Jefferson was ready to try to see the field in 2018. Things started out on a positive note for Justin, as he was the best receiver on the team in their spring game. Going into the 2018 season, LSU had a new starting quarterback in Ohio State grad transfer Joe Burrow, but his ability was a great unknown at the time. At running back, senior Nick Brossette was going to be the starter, and at wide receiver, the Tigers were going to have to replace their star DJ Chark. They opened up the season picked to finish 4th in the SEC West, and were ranked number 25 in the country. So their first game, they were matched up under the lights against number 8 Miami, and LSU controlled the game from start to finish. After a win against Southeastern Louisiana, they beat number 7 Auburn by way of a game-winning field goal and established themselves as a legitimate early season contender. To this point, JJ had become one of the better receivers on the team as he caught 11 passes for nearly 200 yards in his first 3 games. In their win against Ole Miss, JJ caught 5 passes for 99 yards and his first 2 career touchdowns. The Tigers had a huge matchup against Florida the upcoming week, and the Gators were on the rise led by Felipe Franks at quarterback. The game was a big road test for them, and it was really good, but late in the game, Florida actually had a pick six that punctuated the upset. LSU lost their first game of the season, but to this point, Jefferson had become the best wide receiver on the team. After the loss to Florida, the schedule wasn't going to get any easier for LSU, as they had number 2 Georgia, number 22 Mississippi State, and number 1 Alabama their next 3 games. They showed what they were made of after they blew out Georgia, and he had a career-high 6 catches for 108 yards. They continued their hot streak with a win over Mississippi State, and now LSU had their biggest test of the year and a potential SEC West championship game on the line versus Alabama. The game once again proved that LSU wasn't on Bama's level just yet, and they got blown out 29-0. They beat Arkansas and Rice the following 2 games, and they were set up for a regular season finale showdown on the road against Texas A&M. In what was potentially one of the craziest games of the century, the Aggies defeated the Tigers in 7 overtimes after multiple miracle plays on both ends. They ended up going 9-3 once again, but they were going to get a chance to play against the defending national champions in the Fiesta Bowl. In what was a really good game, LSU defeated UCF and JJ caught 2 touchdowns. On the year, Jefferson became the best wide receiver on the roster as he caught 54 passes for 875 yards and 6 touchdowns. In an offense that wasn't very pass-friendly, I'd say Justin had a pretty good year, especially considering the fact that he was never supposed to do much. Going into 2019, the Tigers were expected to be good, but no one thought they'd be as good as they would become. They were picked to finish second in the SEC West and began the season ranked number 6 in the country. They opened up the year with a win over Georgia Southern, and he had 87 yards and a touchdown. In Joe Burrow's coming out party against Texas, Jefferson caught a career-high 9 passes for 163 yards and 4 touchdowns, including the eventual game-stealing touchdown in the fourth quarter. He followed up that with a big performance with 2 mediocre games against Northwestern State and Vanderbilt, but in that game, Jamar Chase broke out. Against Utah State, he caught 9 more passes for 155 yards and 2 touchdowns. Joe Burrow had become the frontrunner for the Heisman Trophy, and LSU was cruising towards an SEC West crown. In their next 2 wins over Utah State and number 7 Florida, he caught 19 passes for nearly 300 yards and 3 combined touchdowns. He was becoming a star. After another big game and their win over Mississippi State, the Tigers were set up for a huge matchup against Auburn. In what became their closest win of the year, the Tigers survived 23-20. Now they were matched up in another game of the century, this time against number 3 Alabama. In what was one of the best games of the 2019 season, LSU survived a late push by the Crimson Tide, and now they were in complete control of the SEC West, and LSU had finally beaten Alabama. JJ helped lead them to wins over Ole Miss, Arkansas, and Texas A&M to finish the regular season at 12-0. Jefferson had another 100-plus yard game against number 4 Georgia in the SEC Championship, and the Tigers were all but guaranteed a college football playoff spot. In their first round matchup against Oklahoma, JJ made history. He caught 14 passes for 227 yards and 4 touchdowns in their historic blowout win. He had one of the best performances in college football playoff history, and he is becoming a household name by now. In the national championship game versus Clemson, he had another 100-plus yard game and helped the Tigers win a title. On the year, Jefferson caught 111 passes, 1,540 yards, and 18 touchdowns. Besides cementing his name into multiple LSU record books, he was also named to the SEC's All-Second team. After the season, Justin declared for the 2020 NFL Draft and chose to forgo his senior year. Many scouts believed he was one of the best wide receivers in the 2020 NFL Draft, and that's exactly how it played out. With the 22nd pick, the Minnesota Vikings selected Jefferson, and he is now pegged to be the replacement for Stephon Diggs after he was traded to the Buffalo Bills. It seemed like that team scout from a few years ago knew what he was talking about, and doesn't sound so crazy now. Overall, Justin Jefferson had a really cool story, and I bet most of you guys didn't know he was a 0-star recruit coming out of high school. It is truly crazy to see how far he has come, and it just goes to show us. It doesn't matter how others view or rank you, because if you want something bad enough, you'll prove them wrong. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please be sure to take a moment and smash that like button. I know JJ would appreciate that. If you are an LSU fan, let me know what you think of him, and if you're a Vikings fan, let me know if you think you guys made the right pick with him. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you leave and help me reach 3K subs by the end of July. If you're still here, check out my video about the rise of Jamar Chase and all my other player story videos like this. Until next time though, peace.